Hello. Hello, hello. This is Connie. It's 2 o'clock and I'm live. And oh my gosh, trying to get my act together. Today's been crazy. Trying to clean up from the storm that we've had. The last few days have been nuts. Truly nuts. Anyway, I thought, okay, I just wanted to share this with you while I'm waiting for people to find us, but I'm an avid cross stitcher. You guys know I cross stitch like a maniac. And I had this patriotic pattern. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I ordered this like 2 years ago. I really should do it. It's really beautiful. It'll be a flag. And I'm thinking, you know, it'll be like 8 by 10, 8.5 by 11-ish size. I don't know what I was thinking. I ordered the fabric when I got it. I just told the ladies, cut the fabric to the pattern and send it my way, whatever. And so I had the fabric, I pulled it out, and the fabric is like over a yard. It's absolutely huge. And I'm like, what's going on? Why would they send me so much fabric for this little pattern? And then I looked at it, at the sizes of it, and in the size I'm doing, it is 2 feet by a little over a foot. So this thing is gonna end up being enormous. And so that's a lot of red, white, and blue. I'm just saying. And I was cracking myself up because, wow, really? Did I really do that? It's crazy. Also, I wanted to let you know that I posted the information about the album retreat coming up, the Stampin' Up album retreat. I posted 2 posts. One is just information. Hey, it's happening kind of thing. And the other post is the actual flyer that shows the layouts they're gonna make. And so you can click on that and open it up and see the pages and see if that interests you. The pages are very simple and kind of basic. The theme is month by month, meaning that each layout is supposed to be like, you know, a month out of the year, where you could just do it kind of like a collage kind of thing of a bunch of different photos during that month and put it in your book, or you could just leave that month style title off and use them anywhere for anything because they're generic enough. They aren't super themed, you know what I mean? I like that. And so, and this one will be much simpler than the past Close to My Heart album retreats, because when Close to My Heart first started doing album retreats, they were for consultants only, and the pages were very simple and basic. They were really fun because, you know, you got together with other people and were able to craft as a group and have fun and make it leisurely and yet finish an entire album, you know, in a short period of time. And so since they're doing it online, it'll be interesting to see how they coordinate their album retreats. I can't wait to see. Hi, Denise. Hi, Christy. Today I'm working with the Boho Vibes paper. And I'm super jazzed about this paper. This is like my favorite paper out of the catalog. You're going to hear me talk about that a lot because I have a lot of paper in this pack, but I really like it. And I want to scrapbook today and I want to use this paper. This to me is it screams 70s retro, but it also is very summery and outdoorsy. You could do this for any occasion, right? You get 48 sheets. You get 6, I think, different patterns, maybe more. No, I think you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 different patterns. Anyway, you get 6 sheets of each. Yeah, that'd be 8 different patterns. There's a lot of pattern in here. And so the back side are all more muted, generic. There's a couple of bold style patterns on the back. But for the most part, the patterns on the back are a softer, simpler kind of look, where the front is like, whoa, in your face big. And so today I thought, let's use some 6x6 paper and make a layout. You know, there's tons of ways to use 6x6 paper in a layout. And I thought, why not? These are the little dots that go with this, coordinate with this suite. It's the muted palette dots. And I thought I would use tons of them in this layout, and I ended up not using any, but I left them in my bin just so I could show those to you. And those I don't need to show you. Then I also grabbed a few things. I grabbed the alphabets. These are the two main alphabets I've been using. I don't have the new one yet, but the letters are about 2.5 inches tall, which I think will be a good option. It'll be larger and wider letters. And so it's nice to have a variety. I don't want every single page in my book to have the same alphabet. And so I a lot of times pull things out of my stash or use my Cricut to make titles. And a lot of times when I send you guys layouts, I leave the titles blank because you can create your own titles for however you use that page. I'll show you how I did mine today. Okay, and then I also pulled out a few other things. I didn't use this on, oh yes I did. I used the little heart on the layout. But I also wanted you to know that I've been using this little dog like crazy. Can you see it? He is so adorable. And I made a whole bunch of cards to send out to JJ, and I signed them with Moose's name and stamped his little image in there. And I've decided to keep him on a block right here on my desk. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Here's how I used the heart on the layout. I just used it as a border, and so I'm going to show you that. I toyed with the idea of using the word smile as a title. I ended up not. And then I used one of the little hearts, this one out of this Hearts of Elegance. This is retired. You can't get it anymore, but if you did get it, these heart dies are amazing. And I used this one that has the little perforations in it. Okay, now I needed some words on the layout besides what comes in the stamp set that coordinates with the Boho Vibes suite. And I really liked this. This is the Best Life. Any of these would have worked though for a scrapbook page, and I think a lot of you have this set from Close to My Heart. It was out, did I put a year on it? No, I did not. It wasn't too long before they closed, so a lot of people got this one. So just saying, you might pull that out if you ever are doing a scrapbook page and like to have little words. On this one, I am using the sun and the little asterisk thing, star. And I'm going to set that aside so we can get started. Okay, let me show you the finished layout that I'm going to work on. Here is my layout that I finished. This is the club layout this month. And I would change my camera. Let me see if I can make it fit a little bit better. Okay, so there's a million ways to use 6x6 paper, right? You can use 6x6 by using it whole, which is what I did right here, here, and here, 2 full 6x6 sheets. Or you can cut it down. Hi, Heather. You can cut it down into stripes or strips, and I used it two ways on here. So that's how I use the 6x6 paper. And honestly, I have gobs of 6x6 paper left, even doing that. Here's how I used that little perforated looking heart. I think it's really cute. And I as soon as I got this paper out, that Brady Bunch song popped into my head. You guys know what I'm talking about, the Sunshine Day song. You know, I think I'll go for a walk outside now. The summertime's calling my name. I hear it now. I just can't stay inside all day. I gotta get out, get me some of those rays. Remember that song? Remember that? The Silver Platters and all that. If you haven't seen that, then you definitely need to go watch it, because I can't be the only one humming this crazy song all week long. It is like such an earworm in my head. I can't stop. Every time I get at the sunshine thing, oh my gosh. Anyway, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp some suns. Now, if you don't like stamping directly on your page, cut yourself, a couple inch strip and stamp along the edge of the strip, and then you can trim it to where you want, and then you can just put it down on your page, and no one will be the wiser, that you didn't stamp directly on it. Now, I personally am not too concerned about it being perfect, so I'm going to do that. Yes, Jody, yes, that is it. That's like a child of the 70s, right? When you know all the Brady Bunch songs. Oh my gosh. Okay, so on the right-hand side, we need the sun kind of near the edge. And so I'm gonna stamp at the bottom just to make it easier on myself. And I'm just gonna put like a little border here. You could make pencil marks or something, but I'm gonna stamp in this area. My idea is, by using my quilt ruler, I can line up the vertical with the edge of the paper. You could do this with the NET ruler. I just use this particular ruler because it's easy for you to see when I am, live. Some of my other rulers are, I can see them great and they work great, but when you are going live, they just disappear. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp, I kind of center my ruler, and I'm going to stamp a sun like that. And then I'm going to take the rays and I'm going to stamp rays on one side, and then the other side. Don't worry, you're going to see me do this a lot. Okay, so there's one. I'd like to fit 5 suns on here, which means my rays have to overlap just a little bit. And so I'm just going to keep going. Anyway, so yeah, I wish we had a lot of sunshine here. It is raining again today. They said no rain, but I went outside. I went over to my dad's house to help him with his yard today, and of course it was like sprinkling, just enough to get you wet, and it was annoying, but I'm so tired. I'm done with the rain and the storms, and the meteorologists here in town are all complaining about the people who complain about the preempting of the TV shows, because we've had so many. Their thing is a tornado warning. They come on live and they stay there until the warning is over. And some of these warnings are hours long. So these weather guys are just, they're just jabbering around trying to turn everybody into storm chasers, I think. And so then people complain because their shows are not on. So if you're not directly in that scary zone, you get to hear the meteorologists anyway. And so I understand both sides. It's like, well, if you're in the scary zone, it's really nice to have the weather guys on there telling you exactly what's happening with the tornadoes around. On the other hand, if you're not in that scary zone, oh my gosh, how much can you talk about the weather? Anyway. Okay, so there is the right-hand side of the page, and you can see it's not perfect. I'm showing you close so you can see it is not perfect. And it's not perfectly straight, but I'll show you what I'm going to do with this page. I have these two patterns. This one is the rainbow with the little dots, and this one is the stripes with the little dots on the back. And I am just going to put these onto the page and just as they are. Now, this is the most basic way to use a 6x6 sheet of paper, right? I mean, really, there's not much to that. But you know, this would be really cool to do one big swash all the way across, you know, the center, and then you could put your photos right along the center. You know, there's a lot of people who cut these up where, you know, you might have your photos in the center and then these patterns are on the top and the bottom. And if you cut them down, they look like they go all the way behind your photos, but they really don't. So there's ways to use this. Now, on the right-hand side, my thought was I want 3x4 photos going all the way down. Let me see if I have some placeholders here. I try to keep these all here, but the idea would be like 3x4 photos that touch and make a strip down the center. But they needed an anchor because that is just too floated. You know, you could leave it just like this, but I liked the idea of putting a color down on here like this. And then because I used the stripes on the left hand page, I felt like it needed to be carried over. Now I just cut a 3/4 inch strip of paper out of the same sheet of paper, right? Okay, so the thing about these is if I turn them this way, they are exactly 6 inches, so they are going to touch in the center. So if I turn them this way, the pink meets in the center. And if I do them this way, the red meets in the center. So, you know, you do what you like. What my thought is go down next to the sun. I hope you can see that adhesive. It's usually kind of shiny on camera. And then I can use I could use my ruler to make them nice and straight. Now when I use this ruler, I'm lining up the horizontal line with the bottom of my page and the vertical line on the sides. And so the idea is I'm going to cover up some of the sun like that, but my paper strip is going to be straight. Do you see that? And then the idea then is to use this. I got this one just a little bit cockeyed there. That's okay. I will make it work. Anyway, and then I'm going to put the yellow down, and it's just going to overlap. And you can overlap it as much as you want. as much as you need to overlap it. Okay, so now this page has an anchor for those photos. So now you would put your photos down like this. Ta-da! Now, the other thing on this page, I thought this page was perfect for journaling, or you could put, you know, you could put like 4x6 photo here. You could put a couple of them, you know. You can kind of fiddle around with how you want photos on this page. But so I'm going to set this aside for now. I'll show you what I decided to do with it. And we will put that together in just a minute. Okay, so let's look at the left-hand page. The left-hand side, I did kind of the same thing. I did a bunch of sun in a row. I did a strip, and I stamped these little hearts, which I think are adorable. And then, like, the idea would be to have two 4x6 photos here. Now, my thought on this, let me see if I have the actual placeholders here. I do. I have so much stuff in my little bin here. It's weird but the idea would be, there's so much color on this page, right? So much color that I thought I kind of wanted a border. So if you used a 4x6 photo, 6 inches would go clear across the page, right? But if I wanted to make a white border around the photos, a little hard to see unless I used a color here, but I could cut a white strip at 4 1/4 inches, and that will cover up any mistakes I make stamping my sun. See, it'll go right over that, just like we did on the other side with the yellow cardstock. And it will cover up anything at the bottom that might be messy. That's what I'm gonna do, okay? That's the plan. Let's get there. Okay, so here we go with the sunshine again. This is not any kind of perfect thing. As a matter of fact, all the pages I made were probably a little bit different. This is approximately 3 3/4, 4 inches down. So I'm going to stamp my sunshines about 4 inches above. Now this ruler is a 3-inch ruler, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of eyeballing, but that's okay. It's all right. It will all be fine. You know, it turns out fine. So I think this time I'm going to start with the rays. And I'm going to, right at that center point, I'm going to start with rays. Now, I have about 1 inch. Let me just, there. I just don't want to get my stamp block hung up on my ruler, so I moved my ruler, but okay. Now the good thing about this is that you can be a little wonky along the bottom because it's going to be covered with that white cardstock piece. So the color that I'm using on the yellow is Daffodil Delight, and this is an interesting thing because yellow is not necessarily my favorite color. I like all colors, but I don't tend to use a lot of yellow, but this particular yellow I really like. It's not quite as orange as the Close to My Heart Sundance, and it's not so bright, like some of the lemony yellows. It's a little closer to honey butter if you are trying to make this using Close to My Heart products. And I made that a little close, but that's okay. I'm just gonna continue like we're continuing, right? Let's see. There we go. All right, and then I'm gonna go the other direction. And I kind of need to do the same thing on this side. It's a little boring, I think, watching somebody stamp a border, but the idea is to try to get fairly straight all along. And if you're not right on target, don't freak, because you know, we'll be able to fix it. No biggie. And in the finished page, people are not going to go, whoa, that is really crooked. They are not going to notice. They're going to be looking at your photos, and there's so much color, and your eyes look all over the place on this page. And so it's not like any individual thing is going to be, you know, all that noticeable. All right, I'm cleaning my stamp off here real quick. Use my chamois. Okay, Daffodil Delight. Okay, and then that's done with that. Now on the other end of things, we have the little hearts. And the little heart set, I put it on this kind of block because I didn't want very much space here in case I needed to use my ruler. And the color that we're using is going to be Cajun. No, do I want to use Cajun Grace? No. I want to use Secret Sea. Secret Sea is one of the new Stampin' Up colors, and I just really like it. And I'm going to make this about maybe 1.5 inches or so off the bottom. And now this one is a little trickier to use because it's a lined image, and if you don't line up the lines, you do see that the lines don't connect. Is it the end of the world? Not really, but it is kind of more noticeable. And so here's how I'm doing it, okay? I know I got ink on my block. That is like a big no-no. And I squished it really weird. Okay, I'm just gonna clean that off. I like to ink up my image, and then I'm gonna line up this line right here with the line that's on there and stamp. And it may or may not be totally perfect. I'm gonna keep kind of watching my ruler line to make sure I am as straight as possible. It does not have to be perfect. And what I've noticed though, the longer I go, the better I get. This is definitely a practice kind of thing. Look, I'm going uphill. You definitely practice this on a scratch paper or a cardstock piece. This is one that would be really easy to do like on a strip or something, and then glue it down to your page if you're not wanting to stamp direct. So I'm just gonna keep going. I missed a little piece of that heart. I'm gonna go back over that in a minute. Danger, danger. So, okay. And then I have that little bit of heart in that corner. Ta-da! That worked out. Whew. That's always like gets your heart racing if you have to fix a little spot like that. Okay, so that is our stamping on this page. Now while I have this out, I'm gonna put my ruler away a minute here. I want to do this little square. This is my journaling piece, and sorry, just trying to wipe my counter off here. I've been playing around with different bases for this because it's so tricky on camera. All right, so the first thing, I got that this is the best life, and I want to stamp that in Cajun Craze. And I'm just going to stamp that in the corner. Just like that. And I want to stamp this little stripe. These little stripes are really fun. And the idea with those, to make them in a line, is to try to not, like, to put them close enough together so that they look like a continuous line. If you put too much space between them, it won't look like a continuous line. And so that is how I'm doing that one. What I've noticed with this stamp is if I line up like this edge of the stamp with the last line, it turns out perfect. Maybe not perfect. I kind of wonkied up that last one, but that's okay. All right, and then the other last thing I kind of want to do is I want to use some cloud cover. Cloud cover is one of the new, it's one of the new colors, and I showed it the other day. It's a lot like, what's that? Mist. Mist, if you have Mist and Close to My Heart. Very similar. Secret Sea is a really great color too. This one is pretty in pink, I think. Sorry, don't know my colors. I know I'm using Close to My Heart Peach because I don't have the other color. But I really like how this looks. Now, the other thing I'm going to do on this, just to make it, I don't know, more, is I'm going to do the squiggle line thing around the edge. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? And I think I'm going to make it a double line. So now I'm going to squiggle. And here too. And I'm just using a gel pen. And then if you like, you know, you can add dots. You can doodle a little bit. And it does add to it. So this is going to be my journaling card. There's one other place you can journal, and I'll show you what I would say. Now here we are with the strips again. Look how cool just the plain green looks. I really like that. You would have to line it up, you know, to make it work. But you could totally do that, right? But I'm going to flip and I'm going to do the strips, and I want them to be above the hearts. So I'm just going to put a couple things of adhesive there. I could get out my ruler, but since I stamped my hearts just a tiny bit crooked, I may have to do a little maneuvering. You just never know. Let's see. That works. It works. Okay. And now I have that piece that's going to go over the top. It'll cover up the irregularities in the sun like that. And it will cover up any irregularities in how you cut your strip. And you decide, you know, where you want this, how much of those suns you want covered up. Looks like I went a little like uphill with my sunshines too, but that's okay. It's all good. And then I cut a strip of Cajun Craze because I liked the idea of it being like a border, and you could put it wherever you want, but I'm going to put it here. And I'm going to use my liquid glue for this because it's just easier when you're doing these little 1/4 inch strips to have a little liquid glue where you can wiggle them into place and then they butt up against that 4 1/4 by 12 piece. All right, ta-da. So basically that's my page, right? That is my layout. Pretty quick. And I didn't do a ton of prep work for this. I basically just cut my strips, right? So you could totally do this. So I leaving the top for a title, right? If I leave this for a title, then you can add some scatter elements around. I also feel like I need something around here. And so what I did was I took a scrap piece of paper and I cut a sun. See how I stamped it, that half sun twice? And then I just went on around. Now, what I want to do with this is I'm just going to do a really fast fussy cut around this sun. It doesn't have to be this hard. You could use a circle punch if you really want to. I have my windows open. You can probably hear the motorcycle going by. Okay. And I think I want this behind here. Cool, right? I love it. All right, so I'm just gonna put a little glue there and put that there. I like that. And I like how this looks. I think I'm basically ready to attach that. I still have room for a 4x4 or 4x6 photo up here. So still have room for extra photo if I want. I could cut, I think a 4x4 would look really good on here because I don't have that size of placeholder, but you could see, you can still see the edge of this paper, which adds that color to it, right? And then over here, like I said, I am not adding the title for you. So I did cut this out, but I did not apply it because I didn't know if you would want it there or at all even. You might not want that color highlighted, so you just get that. And then what was the other thing? Oh, I know. The other thing that I did that I thought kind of added to the page was I used more of these little star asterisk things, and I just kind of went in and out of the sun with the peach color and with the cloud cover. Let me just wipe that off with the chamois. You're probably wondering why I don't have full-size ink pads yet. I'm holding out. I gotta be honest. I'm holding out. There are some colors I simply can't live without. Cajun Craze was definitely one of them, and so I have that. I have like Lost Lagoon because it's such a used color. If they made the cloud cover in these foam style pads, the cloud cover reacted with it and changed the color. And so the only way you can do cloud cover is like this. If you are somebody who you know, wants to buy a cloud cover re-inker, I have extra blank cubes. You can let me know. But anyway, I like how that looks. I think I could also do it over here, actually. I think that would look really good. So let me just put a few over here too. Doesn't have to be anything, you know, too incredible. It just adds to the layout just a little. All right, so what do you think? Do you like it? I hope you like it. This paper, oh my gosh, I am in love, and I can't explain how much I like this paper, but I like it enough to sing the Brady Bunch song to you. Okay, so that is my club layout this month. I hope you like it. And then I have another announcement. I was asked to do a make and take presentation at our Stampin' Up team meeting in October. So it's a long time away, but they're planning now, and they want ideas. They want me to turn in my idea now, so all the supplies and everything can be ordered. I'm so excited to be asked to present. That's a really big honor, especially if you knew who was on my team. They're like very big names in YouTube, okay? We'll just say that. Anyway, so I want to hear from you, what is your favorite fun fold card? Because I want to make a make and take using an interactive or a fun fold card. And I don't know which one to choose. I like so many of them. And so I want you to post in the comments your favorite, or message me with some ideas that you have. I really, you know, I've been using this one a lot. This kind of fold. I'm get over this a little bit. I need something new and different. And so if you have an idea, or you've seen one on the internet or whatever, send me a message or a link or whatever, and help me pick this out. So I think it'll be October, so I'm thinking I kind of would like to do a Christmas card or a holiday card, or even fall. But you know, the stamps that are out right now are not, they don't necessarily lend them to fall. So I'm thinking though, it's sometimes that's all about the color more than the style. So I'd love to hear your input, everybody. All right, I will see you Friday with another project. Have a good afternoon.